Welcome to Faith Over Breakfast. You are listening to a podcast by Pastor Eric Deepen and Pastor Andy Littleton. If you enjoy Faith Over Breakfast, we encourage you to rate it on the Apple Podcast app, on Spotify, or Google Play. Thank you and enjoy the podcast.
Welcome
Gosh,
to
it's
Faith
been a long time.
Over Breakfast. My name is Andy Littleton. I'm sitting here with Eric Deepen. We are from Mission Church in the Village in Tucson, respectively. And Eric today wanted to talk about fatherhood. What was the other F?
Friendship.
Friendship and faceball. Baseball. It was not three Fs.
Yes.
Fathership, friendship, and baseball.
And how we are trying to expand our audience to my son.
To Eric's son. And if you know us a little bit, you know that I was surprised by this topic, and I was pleasantly surprised. So Eric, thank you. What a joy. So we hope you enjoy the conversation.
Yeah, it's great. It's real fun.
My favorite.
Andy, welcome to the hot summer.
The hot summer and the hot seat.
Yeah.
With the hot pastor, Eric Deepen.
Yeah, so good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you've been adventuring all over the place. All right, so I got a few things to start with.
Yeah, I'm being surprised. By the way.
So I think actually they're right in line with our pre-production conversation.
Good.
We need to use professional words like pre-production. So.
Because that. Yeah. It felt professional.
It felt very professional and production.
Yeah. Productive.
Right, so I thought Father's Day is over. But having a little conversation about how people understand Father's Day nowadays would be interesting. And then in link to that, what people think about friendship, which we've visited before, sort of just kind of thought we'd, hit a few of those things. And then the other one came from my son.
Does it start with an F as well? No. Father's Day, friendship, and
I wonder. No,
flatulence?
No. And flatulence. So I was giving him a hard time because, he's 20. He doesn't listen to Faith Over Breakfast.
Yeah.
And he was basically trying to make me give him an argument for why he should listen to Faith Over Breakfast.
Oh, okay.
And so I started asking him what podcast he listens to. So just to give you a little background about my son, just this year, or maybe at the end of last year.
Really quick, did you tell him to listen to it because you were going to be talking about him directly?
Oh, I'll tell him.
Okay, yeah.
No worries. So I asked him what podcast he listened to. And just about a year ago or so probably the end of baseball season, my son decided that he was going to become a baseball fan.
God,
this is out of the blue.
There's hope for the
Deepen family,
for the village, and the Deepen family, and the next generation. I'm.
Oh, you're gonna,
sorry. I just process.
You're gonna like this even better.
There's hope.
When you hear what my proposal is, you're gonna be like, wow, maybe I don't ever want to miss a Faith Over Breakfast.
Okay.
So he only listens to one baseball podcast, because he decided that he is a Diamondbacks fan.
Okay.
And he graduated as in computer science.
Who's his favorite player?
I don't know.
Eric, I'm going to stop you right now.
I know.
Just for a second, I'm not going to let you get on a roll, but really quick, really quick. So
Ortiz, their pitcher. They have a number one pitcher because the other two are injured.
Oh, okay.
So I know it's like Ortega or Ortiz or something like that.
There's an Ortiz.
Okay, that's who he likes.
Solid. For years, when things about our wives have come up, you're always telling me you should read all the books about nursing and you should know all the.
I just found out.
So do you know what? Do you know what you're about to hear from me?
Yeah, I need to find out about baseball. It's like
you need to listen to all the games, Eric. They're all on television here.
I can't listen to all the games. I don't have time to do that, man. He's my son. He's not my wife.
Hear that, Elliot?
No. So
so much for men stepping up in this generation.
Hey, well, let me finish.
Okay.
There's some things here that I can. He told me I'll listen to Faith Over Breakfast if you guys talk about baseball.
Oh, easy.
Okay,
for me.
So I'm thinking when we open every episode, we can have our baseball minute so my son can listen to the first few minutes. Okay. I have been getting more comfortable with this, so much so that I asked him, like, why don't you have a baseball hat? And he's like, meh. So I just got on Amazon and I bought him a Diamondbacks baseball hat so that he can represent.
Yeah.
You know, and now I'm telling him his girlfriend needs to buy her a baseball hat. Like,
do I need to take you guys to a game now? Like, is that in order?
Well, yeah, we might need to do that to a Diamondbacks game.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That might be a thing.
Okay. Wow.
Anyway.
I try to get Eric to go all the way to Chicago for a really beautiful, meaningful thing about friendship and baseball, and he goes, nah, I got a lot going on. Baseball,
blah, blah, blah. Baseball.
All right.
Well, yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
So maybe we have a little bit of, like, baseball commentary at the beginning.
Sure.
Of Faithful Breakfast.
Okay. What happened in last night's game?
I don't know. So I got to explain also.
It got rained out. That's what happened.
The nature of well, I haven't seen him.
Last night's Diamondbacks game against the Cardinals was postponed.
So let me give you this is the nature of my son. He did not decide to be a baseball fan because he thought I like baseball.
Sure.
He decided to become a baseball fan because he wanted to have small talk with people.
Yeah, it's a great idea. That's perfect.
He decides to be and he's a math guy.
Yeah.
So he does not watch the games.
Yeah. But he's in analytics.
He listens to the statistics and he goes on and watches inning by inning, and he knows who's playing and who's pitching, and he'll get upset. Like, we'll be at dinner or something, and he'll be like, ah! And I'm like, what? And it's like, oh, the Diamondbacks, blah, blah, blah. They're down by. I'm like, okay.
Well, baseball, there's a whole class. So there's a podcast, and I'm sure there's plenty of these out there on the Diamondbacks, but there's a Cubs one, and they have once a week, there's this, one of the episodes is different, and there's just a kind of an analytics nerd who's the co-host of that one. And he just, like, goes into pitch shape and and like, I don't even cut rate and all of these, like, fine-tuned analytics about the players, and there is a subgroup of baseball fans where it's very math and science.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the baseball opening?
So I don't know anything about baseball. This is
that's where we're opening.
Opening. I'm gonna next time you and I meet, we will have our 5-minute.
You need
to 10-minute baseball conversation.
When's the last time you watched Field of Dreams?
He's never seen Field of Dreams.
Eric.
Okay, I'm going to have to show him Field of Dreams.
This is a problem.
Yeah, I will show him Field of Dreams.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I could just see that I've just made Andy's day. All right. So we'll move on now to the real topics.
Okay.
You wrote a book, in a sense, on fatherhood.
Uh-huh.
I mean, in the sense that you reflected on your relationship with your father after he passed away.
Yeah.
And it's also connected to this truck.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting kind of
meandering. There's some baseball in there, too.
There is some baseball in there. So it's all there. So you could be considered at least someone who's qualified to talk about the idea of fatherhood because you reflected on fatherhood.
I have reflected on it. Have I mastered it? No. Have I
reflected
a father
on it?
Yes. Yeah.
You were a father of an adult child now.
Yeah, one year younger than yours. Yeah,
different world
it
than
is.
Being a father of a 3-year-old.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and a girl.
Yes, and a girl.
Those are two. Yeah, it's interesting being a father of the opposite sex.
Yes,
girls are a different breed of person.
So it's been said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so and then you're also apparently someone who reflects a lot on friendship.
I have,
and I hadn't really been thinking about it. I was just sitting in a coffee shop today, thinking, let's talk about fatherhood and friendship and how people understand it, and what and then if there's anything to be upset about and moan about, then we can do that too.
Okay. Well, maybe one of these days, by the way, Elliot, you and I could do some form of podcast on small talk. and how people can connect over something like analytics, because I've been thinking about friendship and baseball as one of my laboratories for that, but I am not the analytics guy.
No.
And so I don't tend to think about that layer, but I know it's a big thing. But the small talk piece, I'm clearly more familiar with that. I've found that, and this will be true of wearing a Diamondbacks hat in Arizona, but wearing a Cubs hat anywhere in the world, especially anywhere in the United States of America, gets you into 50% more small talk conversations that from time to time, especially in my case, have led to really meaningful conversations. So there's that.
Yeah. So America's pastime, baseball, can assist you in deeper relationship.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of why. Yeah, so calling it America's pastime, it is, and this is always in tension. But the interesting thing about baseball is it is not just a sport. It is not just that it's the only major sport without a time clock. It
still doesn't have a time clock.
The game is over when they're trying to speed it up, and that I'm good.
Batting has a time, right?
Pitching and batting, you have to do it within a certain parameter now, and that at first I was torn on, but I've enjoyed it mostly because in the original game you threw the ball to the pitcher, they threw the ball. This whole mind games thing started happening where people just started adjusting their gloves and scratching their crotch and trying to throw off the pitcher's rhythm, and it started making the games abnormally long.
Yes.
So I'm good with eliminating that.
Yeah.
But generally, that still I mean, I read a book about a game that was over 33 innings recently that went into from Holy Saturday into Easter Sunday accidentally, and almost all night long, and those kind of games are supposed to get completed later if they just go ridiculous, but some goofy thing with getting a hold of the right person in the league didn't work, and they just had to keep playing.
Oh, wow.
And but yeah, baseball ends when it ends.
Yes, that's true.
And also it became popular and was kind of built for people who were trying to recuperate from things like, being in their industrial jobs,
right,
working in the fields, even being out at war or coming home from war. And so it was meant to be this kind of reprieve, this slowdown.
Gotcha.
And so the big complaint that some Americans have about baseball is exactly the point where they go, yeah, it's boring. Yes. It's
supposed to be a mental break.
Yeah, you're supposed to sit in the stands with your hot dog and talk, and from time to time realize a momentous moment is happening and dial in and watch it and then go, whoa. And then, so how are the kids? You can't do that well in some of the other major sports, and that's the point. It's like the counter movement to American culture, and is built to be. So that's interesting.
Wow, we went all philosophical there.
Well, it's not hard to do with baseball.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
So it's this thing that's been built into our culture that allows for some small talk that can lead to some deeper conversations and maybe some friendship.
Well, sure. Yeah.
So, I guess, how many friends do you have who love baseball?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What does it mean to live a life of faith? What does it mean to live as a Catholic Christian? Hi, this is Bishop Kevin Sweeney, host of the podcast Beyond the Beacon. Join me as we unravel and discuss the mysteries of our faith, of the church, of living as Catholic Christians. Be inspired by engaging interviews with priests and seminarians, deacons, religious, women and men who live the life of faith day by day here in our Diocese of Patterson, in food pantries and classrooms and parishes and ministry. How is God working in their lives today? How is God working in our lives? Join me as I ask them and be part of the conversation on Beyond the Beacon. Listen and follow Beyond the Beacon wherever you get your podcasts, or watch it on my YouTube channel. Please check the show notes for more details. Thank you, and God bless you.
I don't have a really good count on that. So Pike, who's one of my oldest friends, who went on the road trip with me that's being captured in the 2,000 Miles to Wrigley story, he hates baseball.
Okay.
Or so he says. I don't know if he hates it. I think he just doesn't get it. But our friendship has never been about baseball.
Gotcha.
So he came along with me to the game at Wrigley and was like, I'll go to one. I'll go to one to remember Sammy Z. That's it.
Right.
But so I don't think they're built on baseball. But for me, because of the nature of baseball, it makes space, and it's my favorite, has been my favorite sport since childhood. So anyway, I think it makes space for friendship. I have a number of, David Gainey, another pastor here in town, he's a regular at U of A baseball games, and they play at the ballpark where I grew up as a kid. And so I go there every once in a while, and a lot of times I'll see David, and sometimes I sit with him, and I think those times I've gotten to know him better in the last couple of years because of that. And then there's a few people in our church that like baseball more than others, and we tend to connect. My brother-in-law and I, last night, the reason I know, or I probably would have known anyway, but I'm more aware that the Diamondbacks got rained out is because he's a Cardinals fan, and we were going to watch it together at Trident. And we went, and it got postponed, but the Cubs were on, so he got kind of suckered into watching the Cubs, which worked for me.
Yeah.
They
nice.
swept the Mets. But I think he and I, baseball was an on-ramp and an occasion for our relationship to grow. But we talk about so many other things. I mean, we were sitting there watching the game last night talking about theory on whether or not you should upgrade a house. Should you get a bigger house? How much of that is just our culture? How much of kind of old Protestant work ethic and stuff is at play in our decisions? All kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because baseball, friendship, and then fatherhood all linked together because, I mean, and this isn't so much true anymore, but I think there was this thing when I grew up, and probably when you grew up, where a good father taught their son how to throw a baseball more than how to throw a football or shoot a free throw. Like going out and throwing the ball with dad was like kind of Americana. Like that's, you got a good dad when he comes home from work, and the picture of him out in the front yard throwing the baseball with his kids.
And and this would be in my book, The Little Man, one of my big disappointments with my father was he didn't know how to play. And he didn't have a dad that taught him anything.
Right.
And so he didn't know how to teach me how to throw. So I taught my dad how to throw so he could play catch with me. That, to me, when I was young, was a disappointment. But now in adulthood, I look back and say, well, he was willing to have his kid teach him. Yeah.
No, it's a big deal.
And I've come around on that and said, oh, that was it wasn't what he wanted to do. It wasn't he wasn't an athlete, but he did something. I mean, I was always frustrated because I was like having to run after the ball because my dad couldn't throw very well. I was like, I'm supposed to get better because I'm throwing with you instead of, and I couldn't throw it hard to him because he wasn't confident, but yeah, I look back and I go, man, the fact that he did something awkward and hard with me that wasn't his thing is amazing.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. It's interesting. Like my father is a big time athlete. I mean, he's still at 84 teaching people how to throw the javelin at Desert Christian.
Yeah, wow.
And the shot put. So that's my dad. But my dad taught me how to throw football. Yeah. My dad taught me how to shoot. Yeah. Basketball. Yeah. He taught me how to dribble and kick a soccer ball. I have no memories
of
baseball.
Yeah.
And yet my dad was a big time Cleveland Indians fan.
Right. He and I have talked about this.
And he would routinely, when we got the paper in those days, go immediately to the baseball stats, and then he would talk about those baseball stats. But actual playing the game wasn't a thing for him.
By the way,
with his kids.
How cool is it that, of all the former, there's a few former Major League players that live in Tucson, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And probably just a couple of them go to church. And the fact that one that he got to go to church with was a former Cleveland player. Like,
who did he get to go to church with?
With Rick Waits.
Oh, with Rick Waits. That's right.
I mean, of all, is somebody from his favorite team.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
How cool is that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to hang out and knew John Denny for a while. So
yeah.
I got to know. But I didn't know anything about baseball, so it didn't matter.
Something that crops up in the new story is that an elder in my church used to be a pretty good player for the Cubs, and I knew him, and I knew he was a baseball player, but his Cubs tenure was short, but it was meaningful. In fact, the Wrigley Field is often called.
You mean elder now in your church? No,
when I was at Carolina Foothills. Wrigley Field is called the Friendly Confines, and that nickname came from a conversation between Jerry Kindall and Ernie Banks, who's the Mr. Cub. Their conversation is Ernie Banks said something about back to the friendly confines of Wrigley Field, and Jerry Kindall repeated that back to him like he liked it. He said, the friendly confines, and that's where that came from. I didn't know that before he died, that he had that conversation with Ernie Banks, or that he actually was a Cub. I knew he was a player. I look back and I go, oh man, I would have loved to have picked his brain on that, and just, didn't know enough to do it at the time. Yeah. But, okay, keep going. Where are you?
Well, no, I just think this is a very interesting, like athletics in general, but the way baseball fits into Americana, like it is like a father-son thing. Or to be honest, like now there's in our church there's a young girl who's she could go to D1 in softball. She's very, very good. Yeah. And her father has coached her since she was little, and on club teams, and now he coaches her on the club team. Plus, she's got her school team. I mean, they're just always playing.
New developments, there's women's professional baseball emerging now.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
And
anyway,
there has been an actual woman who's played in the major leagues for a little bit, right? She pitched.
Maybe. Yeah. There's definitely minors. No,
the minor. I thought she pitched one.
There might be,
major league game or whatever. I'll have to look at the data on that one. I don't know. I just remember vaguely seeing that. But there's it's still like this father-daughter. It's like something very interesting about sports and parenting. Like it can go terribly wrong.
Yes.
Or it can be something that's very deeply enriching.
Yeah. It can be a connecting point.
Yeah. No. Now, I hoped it would be with my older daughter, who's built like an athlete.
Yeah.
But she had no interest in sports.
Yeah.
And my son had some interest in sports, but he just isn't an athlete. It's not his thing.
And his connection to baseball is not the performance
that he's ever played. He's never played baseball.
Yeah, his interest is it seems to be more about like the learning how interesting the background information is and how it works. And,
So my son is tall, slim kid.
Yeah.
Like he was very interested in football. And he and I were even just talking about this recently about like one of his more favorite memories as a kid is like probably 4 times a week. Either I would go into his room or he would come and be like, hey, let's go throw the football. And so we would just go outside for like an hour and throw the football. And we our street has like big, long, like, I don't know, the corners are all rounded cement. And so they're in big sections. Yeah. So we'd walk those out and we'd know how many yards each section was. And then he would continue to attempt to see how far he could throw the football. But yeah, that's he never played on any teams or anything. It was just but baseball just wasn't the thing. And maybe because baseball requires a glove, so there's a little bit more investment in that part of it.
There's an interesting equity conversation around why it's easier for people from kind of at-risk communities to get into basketball, especially basketball, because the amount of equipment required to practice and develop your skills is really low. Baseball and football, both require a lot.
Yes.
And then at a certain point, a lot of very high level coaching these days.
Yes.
It's interesting, the new movement like club sports and all that, the father as coach is less common.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it starts to be like the dads are getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually where the seed comes from, but at some point the club coach is like, hey, like, dad, you need to not you don't know enough.
Right.
Or our philosophies are different or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of interesting. That was not the case when I was a kid.
Well, club sports, I mean, I played sports since I was, a kindergartner, and club sports were not a thing.
No.
Like my first encounter with club sports was I ended up being an all-star goalie my 6th grade year in Indiana, and they put all the all-stars together, and we went to Notre Dame to a big tournament. Yeah. But every team other than ours in the tournament was a club team, and I'd never even heard of a club team before. I didn't know what that was. Ours was just like, the whatever YMCA,
Well, in club teams, it's pretty well known. They're cast as like, this is your kid's chance to make it. But almost everybody knows that if a club team is lucky, there's one kid that's going to make it to college ball.
Right.
Usually, and the rest of the kids are paying the bill.
Yeah.
And it's a business for the coaches. Mm-hmm. But you have to keep that hope alive in everybody that their kid could make it to run that business. So it's like the old dilemma of sports and money is trickling down lower and lower and lower. And I think that's part of why you've got all these cool little like vintage and sandlot baseball leagues are cropping up, like for adults. Because it's people who are looking and going, I don't want to participate in that big money version and I can't, but I still love this sport and I still love what it does for people. And so they're starting to start these little leagues where people actually come out and watch the game that are just very, very semi-pro to utterly relaxed, but still capture maybe the old essence of what it was. So anyway, that's another.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. So what I have noticed is like in basketball club sports, that is very true. What I'm realizing and listening to club sports for softball.
Yeah.
That's true in different spots, but like baseball, and I don't know what baseball is like, but it does lend itself to a slightly different experience because it is a 3-hour game.
Yeah.
And it's just a different context. Now the parents are still crazy and all that kind of stuff has to be dealt with, but it's just interesting to me.
Probably one of the best periods of how it felt to parent our kid through like the high school, middle school, high school years was when she was playing softball.
Yeah, it's fun. I've really just enjoyed my exposure to that.
Yeah.
Now I have another guy in our church. He just retired from. He's a special ed teacher, but he's also like coaches everything. He's 96-3 in flag football.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's got a long history of coaching in high school and all of other places. But it's interesting because what I've seen through his eyes is a lot of coaches in all of these different club sports, and it turns out there's so much politics, and they don't really know what they're doing. In some ways, it's like fathers have been eliminated, but there is a father who has money and power and creates the team, and
well, and is often the case that father's kid is involved and has a special place. And that was part of my when baseball fell apart journey is two things happened. There was the strike in the 90s in Major League Baseball.
Right.
And then I was on a little league team that was probably like acting a little like a club team.
Yeah.
And I saw the inner dynamics of money making and preference for, that this was really about getting his son somewhere. And it really disillusioned me, for a while. And then when I came back to baseball kind of recently, actually, it was in 2020, I was like, I can come back to the enjoyable parts of this. And just like everything else in life, I can acknowledge the brokenness,
right? But
also take pleasure in what's good
and really enjoy it.
But I think I became a purist in there at some point where I was like, if it's not all right, I'm out. And then I realized at some point this leads to like not to be flippant, but like almost like suicide.
Yeah.
And what I mean is like, if you're out for everything that isn't pure and good, you can't live life.
This is so true. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't think we were going to do a baseball show, but it seems to be that baseball does lend itself to a long-term ability to play, right? Because you turn 54. I was signed to I'm 54, but I was signed to a guy he just kept playing basketball from high school on, but not in college. Just he said, I hit my 50s and I realized my knees just I can't do that. This is not the way I'm going to stay physically in shape anymore. Yeah. Boy, but you can play baseball until your 80s.
Yeah,
right? You may jog to first base or whatever,
jog,
and you got to play with your appropriate age group.
Your arm and your shoulders and your arm strength kind of starts to be that's already happening to me in my 40s. It can still be done
recreationally, though. Yeah, right, and you can enjoy it. And
then there's all these pathways, and I'm sure this is true of other sports too. But and I unpack this a little bit in 2,000 Miles to Wrigley. There's all these other pathways through which people participate in the sport. So one of the simplest ones, there's the group of fans that get there right when the gates open.
Right.
And they go straight to the outfield bleachers to try to catch home run balls during batting practice.
Right.
I have never done this. Not one time in my life. This was not my way of engaging the game.
Okay.
But there's a whole group which for them, it's almost like the whole occasion is get a ball. And the best moment, you can maybe get a foul ball, but that's a needle in a haystack. But if you're there early and you're out and it's batting practice where out of every 10 goes into the stands, and there's only 50 of you out there, your chances are way higher. And so people are there early, they're going to get a ball. There's the people that are going to try to they want to communicate with a baseball player and have them communicate back. So they've got a sign, they've got a message, and so sometimes it's like, came all the way from North Dakota, my first D-backs game, and or whatever. And sometimes they'll have a specific player's name on it, and when the player's warming up, and they want that player to look at it and say hi.
All right.
And they and then they
have their connection.
The game was that, And then my version of it growing up that I've re-engaged, which is interesting as an adult, is I'm going to get an autograph or two.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this like powerful exchange, but I was working that out in the book. Like it's my way of playing the game. Like I even compare it to like making your pitch, and then like the connection of the ball to the bat. Like you make your pitch and see if you can get the connection. So like my pitch is like, do you have a moment to sign Mr. Swanson? And he comes over and like writes his name. I got a hit. Like it feels like I was part of the game.
Interesting.
And there's a group of people that's their thing. And just because I grew up around them, I find it very interesting. So and then there's other versions of that too. I'm sure, but it's not just, and then there's the analytics and all that, but it's the game on the field, but people find a way outside of playing the game their whole life and throwing the ball. People find a way to play the game.
Yeah.
For some of the old guys, and I sort of aspire to this someday, it's keeping an immaculate scorecard.
Yeah.
And when you're 90 years old, you can sit up behind home plate and nail the scorecard.
Right.
Get it. And so people find other ways of playing a game.
That's really interesting.
Elliot might dig keeping score, like learning how to keep score on a scorecard.
Yeah, you have to teach him that.
I only know a little bit, but I'd like to get more into it.
There you go. Well, it's interesting because there's like the game within the game. So in most, I don't know how. So the manager, the coach, sends a sign into the pitcher, and the pitcher signs to sends a sign into the catcher, and the catcher signs to the pitcher, in softball in particular. Yeah. But in the girls' team that goes to my church, in her high school team, the coach just gives the catcher full reign, right? of calling the pitches.
Even in professional baseball, there's certain pitchers who allow the catcher to call the game.
Right.
And then there's some where the pitcher wants to call the game. Yep.
So he was even then the parent was talking about how he had to tell his daughter, who was pitching at the time, who's number 3, because she's a good pitcher, but she's actually a shortstop or whatever.
Okay.
Mostly. But their pitcher was out, so she had to pitch a couple games. And he had to tell her after the first game, you got to wave off the pitches and pick the ones you want, because they're eating you alive. And when she decided, like, she, would make the decision based on the hitters, like, she pitched a really good game.
She learned to take some agency.
Right. So, like, since she's not a pitcher all the time, like, you have to, like, that's an interesting. So there's a game happening within the game, right? That's the beauty of baseball, is that there's this complex chess match that's going on between both teams, but the managers, but also the pitchers and the catcher.
Well, there's the slowness of baseball too, and the isolation of each player. Like, baseball is the only sport where the defense controls the ball, and there's also this interesting, like, every player out there on a team, but they're spaced apart, and when the ball is hit to them, or they're pitching or whatever,
right,
they're on a solo mission all of a sudden. So it highlights these two sides. And so you do need to know the strategy. Like, each player, they're on a team, but they're also doing a unique strategy of their position.
Right. They're a team unto themselves too.
Right.
Within a team.
And then I was trying to explain this to another kind of analytics guy who went to the game at Wrigley. I said, there's so much, like, sub-story that because the players are so isolated on the field, and you can see their expression, and you can watch them in between pitches, and, like, the more you know about who they are, what they're struggling with in the sport and in life, like, the deeper the game gets. And so the fans, the more connected fans have this whole narrative in mind. So you've got this, this pitcher who they like to call their own game, but it hasn't been going well.
Sure.
And are they going to keep calling it? The catcher walks out. That's because the catcher's going, hey, man, you keep throwing the hanging breaking ball, and it keeps getting hammered. Like, I'm telling you, throw the high heat. Put it inside on his hands. And the pitcher's is he going to submit to that? Or is he going to be and you can't hear their conversation, but when
right.
that all these moments get loaded, the more you're dialed in.
Yeah.
And it becomes really dramatic. So this guy I was at the game with, he's like, I don't know, it's kind of boring. They're out there talking. I was like, it's boring because you don't know what they're talking about. When you have a good idea of what they might be talking about, in your mind, you're going, oh man, he's challenging his pitch calls. That could frustrate him.
Right.
And you start to weave. I think there's almost a storytelling that begins to happen. You start to weave the story together in your mind, and it actually adds to the tension. So the big thing in baseball is tension that you start to feel, unless it's a blowout game, and then you just order another hot dog and chill.
You can chill. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, being faith over breakfast, I feel like we should, I'm curious, as a pastor.
No, right.
Anyway, but keep.
No. I want to swing back to fatherhood, because I think it's sports in general. Like, I think the disappointments in my life with my father in the context of sports is that from a little age, like, so outside of basketball, because he didn't coach in my basketball teams, but he was my soccer coach. By the time I was in 6th grade, had I continued to play, I probably would have gone to at least a D3, D2 school and gotten to play goalie somewhere, right? But my dad, after that, he withdrew and was not involved at all, like, left it up to the school. So when I got into 7th grade, I mean, we were in North Carolina, and I was in PE, and the soccer coach was the PE coach, and, there was the soccer day or whatever, and I just had the soccer ball, and I've been playing soccer since I was 5, so I just held the soccer ball. Like, I just dribbled around the holes, and nobody in North Carolina, where you play basketball, nobody plays soccer, so I was really good, and I got recruited, but there's a whole bunch of stuff for the reason I didn't play that's significant to my story, but more importantly, my dad just was gone, and had he not been gone in that process, had he like been already like, hey, we got to think about what you're going to do soccer wise, blah blah blah, I would have been all excited to go play soccer for the school, and I was really good. I mean, I was always the all-star goalie. People didn't score against me.
Have you been watching World Cup, by the way?
It's funny because of how severe my experience with soccer was in 7th grade. I walked away and decided I did not like soccer at all.
So you were me with baseball, except I chose to re-engage.
I have not.
Yeah.
I actually became an all-out basketball player. Unfortunately, I wasn't as good a basketball player. I mean, I wasn't really good at all as I was a soccer player.
Yeah.
Because I've been playing it since I was 4.
Right.
Year round.
It's like in your DNA at that point.
Yeah. But when it comes to like fatherhood, it's like there is these longings, particularly as a boy, I think, and as you develop into a man, that to have your father like kind of walk alongside and help you negotiate what it looks like to become a man in these competitive spaces.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like there's something. I mean, I think women compete, and I think they can compete, and it's part of it's part of being human. But there's also something very significant about becoming athletics and maleness. Right?
This is why you need to watch Field of Dreams
tonight
with your son.
I've watched it
with your son.
I'm not watching it tonight, but okay, yeah.
It's because it's getting at this whole dynamic. Because there's also there's the longing for your father to do that, and then there's this pull toward independence that also kind of you start to diverge from your father.
Right.
And Field of Dreams is very much telling that story, and it's a rare one where the author of the book that it's based on said the movie, though it changes things, captured the heart of his book exactly, which is cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
But
and it was a great movie when I watched it.
And it will be a great movie again.
I'm not really a fan of sports movies in general. So
this isn't a sports movie, Eric.
How about The Natural? Have you watched The Natural?
I have. It's been a bit, but yeah. But the okay. So one thing I do a lot because church and theology and faith are a top tier for me, and
they're a small part of your life. Yeah.
And but I am a baseball fan and a baseball lover.
Yes, you are.
And I look for faith parallels everywhere. But there are times where like I'll walk out of a baseball game with somebody and we've had what feels like kind of a surface level conversation or whatever, and I'll say to them, "What do you have any thoughts about worship after what we just experienced in there?" What? I said, "Well, baseball is to my understanding the last sport where it is expected that the entire ballpark will sing in unison at some point."
Right. Except for soccer. Soccer has that too.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And like Japanese baseball, by the way, is almost more like on the soccer level. They're singing all game. But maybe like taking soccer is more the world sport. Like in America, like you are going to get up and stand and sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and in some ballparks, another song. Like if you're in Texas, it's going to be "God Bless America."
Right.
If you're in Boston, it's "Sweet Caroline." If it,
each one has its own.
They have their own additional things, but you're always going to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and you feel like you've sung that song a bajillion times. But if they didn't do it, you'd be like, well, I didn't go to a baseball game. And then the whole idea of getting shoulder to shoulder with one another and beholding something that feels connected to creation. Like that's why the good ballparks are the ones that open up and you see the outside world, and the ballparks that everybody hates are the concrete donuts or the domes where you can't see. There's just something off about those that people don't like. And it's almost like there's almost this like eternal gaze that you have that you can watch the player, you can watch the game, but you can look out into the distance, man. And there are all these little, like, what do we learn? What is it about this game and others that teaches us something about what church is doing and what worship is doing? And then that whole fatherhood friendship thing, what our fathers teach us. There's sports, but those are, as much as I love sports, I mean, they are games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think games at their best teach us about the deeper things, right? And so we don't just long for our fathers to teach us how to throw a ball. We long for them to teach us how to talk to a woman. We long for them to teach us how to move into the world in strength. We long for them to teach us how to make sense of the complex narratives going on in our world, like you would as you think about the complex narratives going on in a baseball field. I love to have those conversations and say, like, this is a shadow reality that we learn and teach through. This isn't just, those things don't just happen in this ballpark, right? Like, around the idea of who touched home base the most. Some people, that becomes their ultimate thing. Some people's lives are obsessed with it.
Sure.
But if you can see that and say, these little things playing out here, there's big and eternal and profound versions of these things, right?
Sure.
I love to have that conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's a couple analogies you can process in all of this. One, sports in general, though I actually think, baseball still fits here. It is just an example of the edifices of worship, right? We do all the things.
You gather. There's a cathedral.
But the other thing's interesting is sports. If you look at, I think baseball is the best expression. Like if you want to look at what Protestant faith is, you look at baseball. Yeah. Every field is basically the same, but they're different. Right?
And baseball is where the playing field and the ground rules are actually unique in every single space.
Exactly, right?
There are uniform things. Yeah. The bases are the same distance apart.
We're talking about Orthodox Protestant. Hey, baseball explains it, right? Yeah. And it has a lot of the things. Where I would say, like, basketball is very Catholic.
Yeah.
Because it's very, like, most Catholic churches, they look the same. The liturgy is the same. I wonder. I think football's like Mormonism, right? So I have like 500 secret like plays and secret mythologies and underwear. Like they got a whole like complex like thing going on that you don't really understand.
It's a very insider sport.
It is.
To get there, you've got to be an insider. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think soccer is just a Muslim. It's just like represents the entire Muslim faith.
There you go.
Right? I mean, it's fanatical. It's got a lot going on there. I mean, I'm sorry, but this is like I'm talking about the representative like things. But I do think if you just that's all fun. Baseball does actually represent the Protestant way of thinking.
Yeah. That
it is very uniform. Like every game you go to, it's baseball. Like you're not gonna be like, well, what kind of game is this? But at the same time, like you said, everyone has ground rules. The experience is different in all of them. Yeah. They sing different worship songs in each place, right? Like it's not. That's important. That's the way Protestants worship. Like we're all like, I can go to any Protestant church. I can go to Nazarene church. I can go to Presbyterian church. I will basically recognize my faith and Jesus.
But there will also be very distinct things.
Very distinct. The field rules are different.
and a lot of what's the word I'm looking for here? A lot of dedication to this specific version. Why it's like Wrigley Field's ivy on the brick wall.
Right.
While painful if you jump up to catch a ball against it, to Wrigley fans is like every other ballpark's outfield wall is just kind of sad.
Yeah. No, totally. Right. Or if you and there's that nuance, and then you're like you go to a game and it's a knuckleballer is throwing. It's a whole different than a guy who's just
very different.
Really known for like, his 100+ mile an hour fastballs he's screaming all day.
Yeah.
Very different. So there's like, the preacher. I mean, you can put the pitcher at some level as you're a preacher. It's going to be very different, directing a very different kind of game.
Yeah, some are coming at you with the heat, and some are coming at you with a lot of the knuckleball or a lot of curves.
Right. Yeah.
And they each. There's an embrace of the power of each of them.
Yeah.
And the strategy of each of them.
Yeah. So like, there you go. There's my thinking on that. I mean, I think in general, all sporting events, and I would even throw this over to concerts at some level.
Yeah,
large concerts.
That gets engaged in 2,000 Miles to Wrigley too, is to some degree like how music has some similar dynamics.
it's something in the culture that says, hey, like, this is what you're created for. But your worship is directed in the wrong space most of the time.
Yeah.
That's why I always did appreciate U2. They were able to do this thing where they would be between like worshiping Jesus and really directing the audience into that. And also, hey, we're worshiping the Edge at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And almost like you start with the Edge and you almost fall into worshiping something big, and you go, wait a second, like I'm singing the 40th Psalm.
Yeah, which is really fast. So they do an interesting job with that. But in general, it is the culture not knowing where to put its worship.
Yeah.
It's public expression of worship.
And I think that's very true. Like I see in many of those arenas, and baseball's one of my favorites, but a public that longs for the elements of worship and has found them in its shadow form, but knows it needs more,
Right.
And I think that those kind of conversations, when you use a sport or a song, can help people see what's going on inside their hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Eric,
this is good.
It's great. So much fun. Thanks for, man, I owe you one now, don't I?
Inaugural baseball
episode. Elliot, thanks for tuning in. All right, if you have any questions for us, or if there's a direction,
a new way to do this.
Oh,
you got baseball questions.
Oh, if you have a baseball question,
the Cubs,
submit it,
or the Diamondbacks.
Sure.
You may be able to answer beyond that. I will study up on the Diamondbacks because I have to.
I could go a little beyond that.
Yeah.
So feel free. Email us, faithoverbreakfast@gmail.com. You can talk to Eric. I'll forget if you talk to me, so make sure to email it. And probably the easiest version is to message us directly through those podcast apps these days.
Or leave us an audio message. I think you can do that now.
Leave us an audio message. So we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Bye. You've been listening to Faith Over Breakfast with Pastor Eric Siepen and Pastor Andy Littleton. Please share us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you.